Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 293.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I am your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you're here today because we're going to get to talk about something that I think you guys know I absolutely love. We're going to talk about, well, games. At the end of the day, many of you have heard me mention at least once that I like playing board games, that I like games in general, and I really have this affection for the Cashflow 101 game and anything that can help us learn more about what it is that we do. Well, today's guest does that also through games, and you may have already played it. It's in the App Store. It's in the Android marketplaces for you to go out there and begin to sample. And we're going to talk all about Landlord Real Estate Tycoon because we have the co-founder with us today, and I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, like, there's so much that goes into making a game, and I can't wait to break it down, to understand it, but most importantly, for you guys to play it and to understand how doing these things can help you take these lessons into the real world. So I have with me none other than Zbigniew Woznowski. He's the co-founder and CEO of Reality Games and creator of the app Landlord Real Estate Tycoon. It also says Rich Capitalist and Millionaire Money Game. He was one of the initial founders of Goldberg & Sons, which offered full-service consultation in the real estate market in Poland. So we're talking about a guy who actually knows real estate and decided to make it a game as well. So things like market analysis are familiar to him. He understands when it comes down to how to describe investments. Most importantly, knowing the needs of our investors and the business climate in and of itself. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I think we're going to learn some things at the same time. So help me welcome Zbig. Zbig, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello from sunny Krakow, Poland. It's my pleasure to introduce Landlord Real Estate Tycoon and tell you a little bit more about why I have decided to move from real estate, traditional business, to the gaming business.
Yes, I love it. I love transition. I love the entrepreneur's ability to pivot. So I've got to start, though, by asking you the same question that I tend to ask everybody. All right. So I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs, and of course, you're one of them, a lot like yesterday's superheroes. And, Batman, Robin, what have you, superheroes, the Hulk. The interesting thing about superheroes and entrepreneurs is that I believe we have a lot in common. Occasionally, we get dressed up. We use our skills to help other people solve their problems in various different forms. But also, like superheroes, we have a beginning. We have a start. There was a time before we were, quote unquote, super. We were just regular people in some way, shape, or form. My question to you, Zbig, is before the game, before the consultation, before being, founding super developer and doing all of the things that you have done, my question to you is, who is Zbigniew Woznowski?
Well, probably I would say he was the law student and who was thinking about his career to be at the court. And
I see.
Really boring stuff. I mean, not to mention. But I had an opportunity to don't pass all of the exams, and I was actually. Then I made an idea that I really would like to build a business and it was the Wild West in Poland in earlier. It was beginning of 2000, just after the bubble, and I decided that I'm going to open an advertising agency. Why? Because I don't know anything about it. So, but there were some books from US where I was able to learn a little bit about marketing, and based on that, I knew a little bit more than my clients. So for the next couple of years, I was building my let's say empire from the scratch, from one person, one computer to 50 people.
Wow.
Yes, and we went even to top 20 agencies in Europe. And then it was a bankruptcy, falling down. Yes, once. Then I came up with digital advertising agency, which came up to 30 people. I have sold this and went to real estate. In real estate, now it was great timing and magnificent possibilities. Like especially because Polish real estate market was growing like 10% per month.
Wow.
It was extremely a big opportunity. So we have decided to open the company called Goldberg and Son, because it was, it sounded much more professional, especially if our target group was in United Kingdom and Germany, and we are posting some adverts in the newspapers that they can buy, that they can come for the real estate investment trip. Just for something about $600, we were paying them flights, accommodation, and we were showing them about 30 properties in big cities in Poland. At that time, the 3-bedroom apartment was around $25,000-$30,000.
I'm sorry. Did you say 25?
Yes, 25.
Okay.
Yeah, and a year later, the prices were up to 50,000-60,000.
Wow.
So our business model was based on commission from people we invite and from the real estate developers. So from both sides, something around 8 to 9%. So it was quite nice, and we were just matching them. There was no real agent work here to do. We are just matching them, and that was it. So it was great.
Interesting. So why would you stop that?
Well, because of course the market was overheated then, and those who didn't know that some bubble like this will end decided to invest too much, and they have and they've gone to bankruptcy as well. And I was one of them.
I see.
The greed and not enough experience. That's how the market is actually working. Will drive you to not thinking. Yeah, I would say. But then there was another resurrection. Yeah, I decided to match real estate and tech skills, and decided to do some consultancy, and then first startup called Super Developer, a marketing and sales tool for real estate, and that was actually a success. I have exited in good timing. And then I started my private life. I decided to I met wonderful woman with who I have a baby.
Yay.
And I come back to the business with an idea that let's try to match all the experience I had into one, which is now gaming. It's gaming. It's exactly reality games.
Interesting. Got it. Excellent. And yes, kids will often make you want to go back to work and do something. They they have that effect on the finances as well. They have that effect. It's like, oh, look, I have a kid. I need to do something more. So that's pretty amazing. Now, you started with advertising. You didn't know much about advertising. Did you already know something about gaming before we started that?
No.
Okay, I'm sensing a pattern. I like it.
Player. I was the player, and this is how actually I went to the gaming. Because I have seen the original Landlord prototype in late 2014. It was made by an English guy. He was an accountant. And I call it a prototype because the game was not stable, had a lot of technical issues to resolve, and had something about 6,000 players worldwide. But I already knew that there is a great concept, but just poorly executed. So I have decided to fly to London. I met James, the original co-founder, and I bought from him entire concept, all copyrights. And then there's just a typical startup story. I built a team. We have entered Oxygen Accelerator at Google Campus London, and after acceleration, we have launched the new version of Landlord. And from the beginning, we had a traction, but very tiny one.
Right.
So something like 100 downloads per day. But also we had something like $120 in revenue on daily. So it was a sign that that the concept is working, that people would like to pay for that. And then that the patient is alive. So to do something more to put it to the bigger scale. So we have decided to launch Landlord on Android, and we made about 50 language localizations. That was a lot of work to do. But since then, we are growing at 10% per week. This is over 230 days.
That's good.
Yeah, this is like 2,600,000 players.
Wow. That's awesome. That's excellent. That's a lot of people playing the game. Now, when you said it was more of a prototype when you got it, one of the things that's always interested me personally is how you make a game. Like, you literally have to think of game mechanics and win conditions and the things that work well and which ones don't work. How is that process even done?
Well, normally in the game industry, you create this. Actually, you create everything. So you have a team to build the game mechanics. You have a team to do the design of the game. You know the all scenarios for each level. But here, we don't have that. We just take the entire game mechanics, take the entire data from the real world.
Huh.
Facebook has it, Foursquare has it, so we should do it just by taking this to our game. So this is how we actually built Landlord. It is we drive big data into Landlord, and this big data we pay. Of course, we pay a lot of $1,000, but after many months of research, we now know how to drive it, and that people will actually like it, because it's unpredictable. That's the one thing. But also, the big data has a lot of errors. It's impossible just to stream data, but you need to have a lot of adjustments on every level. But maybe this is too much technical details. Well, it is working now. It is working. We have over 50 million properties around the world. And these properties are thanks to Foursquare and Facebook. But what is more important, we have the valuation of these properties, which is based on real-world popularity. So,
got it.
And so let's imagine that the Eiffel Tower in Paris will cost $100 billion.
Yes, I would like to buy that, please.
Yeah, but the AT&T park will cost about 5 billion. I'm not sure. Is it something? Is it the real world value?
Probably that's not a bad number to start with. I don't actually know.
Yeah, but it must be smaller. It must be a little bit smaller.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, and the restaurant, which is in the Soho, it will be about 800,000 to 2.5 million. It is based, of course, on the popularity. Popularity is number of checkings, number of likes, comments. Is actually there. Is this object existence in the real life? So this is what we measure. And of course, so we have this valuation, and then there are two other things. There are costs and rent. So if you are the owner, you have to pay costs every day for your property. Of course, it's determined by the valuation, but still, the rent you get is based on real, actual checkings, real popularity on every day on this property. So sometimes you can earn, sometimes you lose. So you need to choose wisely properties which you are putting to your portfolio.
Yeah, I like it. This is interesting. Okay, so basically what you're saying is it's like monopoly to some degree is what I'm hearing. Is that in the sense that you can own a property and collect rent from it, but you're also, well, unlike monopoly, you have to actually pay money every day. It seems that. So does the player have a way to increase their rent or increase foot traffic or get more people to pay more money in any way, shape, or form?
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of building a hotel or houses like you have in Monopoly, we put the upgrades. So you can. So if it is a bar, you can buy the karaoke. If it is a building, with some car services, you can add car rental. This kind of stuff. So it's a big number of upgrades, and based on them, you can actually build bigger profits.
I like it. So when it comes to it, how close to real life would you say this game is? Like, what are the similarities and what are the differences?
Well, the similarities. First of all, you can learn about the buildings you cross by looking at them into the app. And when you see that you are crossing, you can see the names of this building, so you can actually learn something. Then, if you ask me how would it be educative for the real estate investors? I would say yes and no. Yes, because you actually have some real world conditions in the game. The game simulates real market conditions and includes actual changes in the popularity of real estate thanks to Facebook and Foursquare data. But in the nearest future, we are going to add some conditions like tax law, inflation, deflation, local and global economics conditions, and as well as real property price movements.
Oh, wow.
So this will be mimicking the real world economics. And this is something where we would like to go. Yeah, I would say.
So I like the idea of putting inflation into the equation. That sounds like, oh man, that's going to be awesome. That sounds like a lot of work, though.
Oh yes,
it's like how on earth are you going to do that? Okay, now you guys know my love for games, and yes, this is another game, and yes, should you play it? Absolutely, it's free. We're going to get some details over to you, so how you can go out there and make that happen. Feel free to look me up in the game, and let's keep playing. Build that net worth. I know it won't take long for you to do it. You'll figure it out. It's fun to play. Plus, it'll give you some insights and some more concepts. But here's some more insights and concepts for you. Grab a copy of my book, Cashflow Diary, 10 Steps to Creating Wealth in Any Economy. Go to cashflowdiary.com/free book, cashflowdiary.com/free book, and I'll send you a copy. But for now, let's get back to the game.
Well, it is possible. It is possible because currently all it is big data. You just need to know from which place stream to from which big data connect with which big data actually, and that you need to understand what the result will be from it. It's all about. I mean, the world is open now for data. There are like 5,000 open API sources from which you can actually stream the information. I mean, fantastic.
Hold on. Did you say 5,000?
Yeah, 5,000.
Okay. All right.
So
that's a lot.
Well, you can. There's a lot of information from San Francisco about timetable, so you can actually build a game based on timetable or for buses. Will they be on time or not? You get a lot of opportunities, and this data is free, and of course you can make a lot of things just by using it. It's so actually. The nearest future for real estate will be that information we get and that Facebook gets and Foursquare gets about the buildings, it will be helping to increase or decrease the value for the real estate properties. Just from big data, you will get this information from big data.
I can see that. Now, as let's pretend I'm not right now. Now I'm curious if someone wanted to make a game and like if that's their thing, they want to build their cash flow by making a game. How much money is something like that going to cost for them to do? I mean, this sounds like such a big undertaking, Zbig. I'm just like my brain's like exploding. It's overwhelmed with the amount of information and technological things that need to happen to make that work. And we haven't even talked about like graphics and UI and making it look good.
Well, actually, if you look at Landlord now, you will see that it has no graphics really at all. It's just the font and some numbers. Well, we call it a prototype on steroids. The new version is coming. There will be a lot of graphics. But if you're asking about money, well, I would say from nothing to a couple of millions. The democracy now is such big in technology that you can enter. There's just one developer can enter the market, put the game to the App Store, and see what happens. Well, on one way, yes, it can be successful, but there is a huge number of competitors, and you actually need to know what you do to actually make it fly. Well, we didn't get any feature from Google or Apple. We didn't pay anything for marketing, and we got nearly 3 million downloads. Well, it is based basically on a mixture of luck, good concept, and reviews that are above 4. I would say 4.1. I would say something like that. So if you have this 3, then you are ready to go.
Interesting.
But I can tell you that when we have joined Oxygen Accelerator in London, I mean, we got something about $18,000, and it was it nearly covered our expenses in London for 3 months so it was nothing. So actually the main game was built from nothing, I would say.
Interesting. So when it comes to actually like executing this particular vision, you mentioned how there's lots of competition and there are other people doing it. Of course, entertainment is a huge thing. I guess my question, what would be some of the challenges that you guys have experienced in just developing your concept and getting into this point that, that probably prevent other people from making it this far?
Well, first of all, the idea is simple. I mean, it's just monopoly taken to the real life where you use your phone. It's extremely easy. This is one thing, but then you figure you see that actually nobody have done this, and maybe that's the reason because it's extremely difficult. It's not difficult to create an app, but it's difficult to maintain the game economy, which is live. And when I'm saying live, it means if we are streaming the data to the app, then there's something like 0.1% of this data has some errors, and this 0.1%, when you have currently we have like 300 million transactions per day. This is still a big number, and so try to imagine that some of these transactions made by players will be suddenly one player who started the game will have and he has like $50,000. He will be able to invest this 50,000 to 100 billion just by a mistake, and he will buy some properties who belongs to other small guys, and he will pay them a lot. And so the economy is killed in like 2 days because there's too much money in the game. And so you have actually the inflation. This is the problem. And so this is the first thing that, except just the technical issues, you need to have the economy as a background and understand what happens when you put too much money into the game. And you need to, of course, balance how much players spend, how much, and how they accelerate, because they need to accelerate and they need to see that. And of course, you cannot say that that this property will give them income. You don't know that. You don't know that there is an event in that place. So suddenly they buy property worth 1 million. And they get like 2,000 check-ins per day because there is a special event that day. So they double that in just 1 day. So trying to understand the entire concept from the game economy, which is real, not artificial. This is actually the biggest, I think, the issue. But this is just the concept with the real estate. We are plenty more. I believe there's. It shouldn't be a problem to start in gaming business just by using different data.
Right. And I get that. I guess the thing is, what I like about what you just said, and I don't know if everybody picked up on it, was you in effect can demonstrate in a game environment and make it simpler to understand. Here's what happens when there's too much money in an economy. And I think you said the game economy is dead within 2 days. And I'm like, I don't know if enough people heard what you just said and understand just how important it is what you just said, because that's very similar to what many of us are experiencing. That's very similar to what many of us are experiencing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you are making, these decisions with your money, and you don't know what's going on actually in the global economy, and if you are not looking at the global economy at all, then you can find yourself as some people at 2000 and 2008, when there was Lehman Brothers, when there was a bubble. I mean, you need to understand the entire environment.
Now, was that your goal when you made the game, is to help people understand that environment, or were you just trying to make a game and you thought it was, hey, cool, because it was related to real estate?
Well, first of all, I love the concept, but secondly, I knew that there will be some additional value, and this additional value is, of course, the education issue. But of course, this is the startup. We have the investors, and we have to generate revenue. And we have to grow. So basically, it is of course the business issue is the first one.
Yes, no, totally understood. I get all that. I commend you for doing something that I think is, I mean, it's a massive undertaking to try to simulate anything that's real, let alone real estate with so much data and so many things and so many implications for any one player's decision is absolutely massive. So, as we wind down here, I have a question for you. Actually, before we go that far, I know some people, they've listened, they hear my intrigue. They want to find out more about how to get access to the game, where they can find it, et cetera, et cetera. So how can they actually get access to the game to begin to test it out?
Okay. So the game is made for iOS devices and for Android, and it is available on the Android market. So you can easily just write Landlord Real Estate Tycoon on any of the app stores, and it should be there, ready for download. And of course, I could give a special treat for any of you, the listeners, and I could give you a special offer of $1 million if you just
yes,
add the special password. It will be let's. What do you think? What shall it be?
The password should be cash flow.
Cash flow. Okay, so it's going to be anyone who will send to feedback at landlordgame.com in the subject cash flow will receive $1 million virtual cash.
I like it. So now they can say, I see I can give them $1 million. This is great. You're awesome. This is awesome. So excellent. Now, let me ask you this question, because we get all types of entrepreneurs looking at all types of different things. Obviously, real estate is huge. Apps are huge. We've had many different types. But yet many of us have a very, very similar paths and challenges. And this is what I want to know. There's somebody listening right now, Zbig, who's dealing with, the fact that they want to begin something. They have an idea. You acted on your idea. You did something about it, and you've done something about it many times. You've had ups, you've had downs, and you still keep going. However, in the back of this person's head is that voice that comes up that often says things like, are you sure? You can't do it. Who are you to even think about trying? And are you must be crazy. So my final question to you is, if someone was having that voice in their head, what would you say to them?
Well, you have to know yourself very well, and you have to trust your instincts, and don't listen to anybody. That's for sure. To listen to yourself, and of course, try to every day when you have some idea, try to make it real by working on it, by testing this idea, by going forward with checking, is your idea really has a market fit? And do only one thing by the time. Don't try to make several businesses at the same time. This is the advice I could say. I had 13 companies. At once, I had 7 of them working at the same time, and I was thinking that I have built empire. But no, just doing one thing properly and having a life balance, work and time for family and friends. This is important. Life balance.
Now, I just want to make sure I heard that right, so that everybody else hears it too. Did you say you had 13 at one time?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, they were very tiny ones. And they were like special companies for projects. But making 7 projects on 7 companies, over 100 people, and in in real estate, advertising, tech, and all of them went down. Yeah.
Wow. Did you sleep during that time?
Well, I did. I was very I was thinking about myself that this missed. I didn't actually understand why why they were down. Actually, it took me a little bit of time. I was like in the middle of 20s, so and had nobody from my family in entrepreneurship. So
Right.
I didn't actually understand until I failed and I had a chance to stand up later on. But a mixture of hard work and luck and not listening anybody except your heart. What is right.
Excellent. Totally understood. And it does take a little bit extra sometimes to make these things work. I just want to say I definitely appreciate you taking the time to make the game, because I like games, and I love the extra $1 million, because I'm definitely going to do that, because I just like the idea of having $1 million, even if it's only virtual money. But at the same time, I appreciate you sharing your wisdom, your insight, and going through what you've gone through to become the entrepreneur that you are, the ups, the downs, and nonetheless, and for being here with us today at the Cashflow Diary.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I hope you will have some fun with Landlord, and hopefully I will be able to answer any of your concerns. If you have, please write to me directly at zbig@wearerealitygames.com.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? That means go play a game right now. Go download it. Have some fun. Let's talk about it in the Facebook group, guys, because I know you know that I like playing games. Let's talk about it. Let's have some fun. Let's go see if we can simulate some inflation, because that sounds like some fun too. Nonetheless, it's been fun talking to you guys today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.